Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. All right, the good news is this is not actually me. This is just a virtual representation of me. And Gohree, you guys did a great job. I appreciate you. I'm DMA, president of Planet DMA and founder of Korgi. We are here to give you guys a taste of the day. So we're going to talk about some of the principles of innovation right now that are affecting our business models and our outputs. And we're going to talk about some very fascinating things that each of the companies up here are doing to make sure that we're starting the day in an extremely expansive mindset and a very grounded in real one. Just as a reminder and or new information for some of you, we're going to talk mostly about AI and XR. AI, artificial intelligence, we're talking about machine intelligence. We're talking about generative AI. How can we have machines actually create images and texts and videos, etc. for us? We're talking about predictive AI. How can machines help us to understand what behavior humans might make? So when you're seeing those billboards for the movies you might want to watch on your favorite streaming platform, that is predictive AI. And of course, there's prescriptive AI. So now we're talking about machines being able to tell us what we could or should do. And we see that in things like medical training or surgeries or sports enhancements, etc. Then there's extended reality. Now we're talking about the world that we move through and how those environments can be augmented, AR, so that we're layering things into the world that we are moving through, how they can be completely immersive so that we're in a virtual world with VR that feels real, and of course mixed reality, where both of those things can happen at the same time. There can be the real bottle, and there can be the beautiful brand integrated bottle that I can still touch, feel, and pick up like it's actually there. Raise your hand if you're ready to take a quiz. Fantastic. So with that in mind, that's the ground that we're going to be covering with each of these innovation companies that are to my left. And we're going to start with an introduction from each of you. And we're going to talk about you, your company, what type of innovations you guys are implementing. And then for some of you, I know we're going to switch to a video. So let's start with you, Monica.
Hello, I'm Monica Landers. I'm founder and CEO of StoryFit. It's great to be here this morning. So we deliver predictive audience analysis at script stage. What this means is that the kind of information usually you get once you've produced a film or a series and you've put it in front of an audience, we deliver that same type of information, but at script stage. So it's a lot more affordable to make changes when you're still playing with the script than after you spent $20, $40 million on the production. So our focus is using a type, and you want me to talk about the type of AI. So
yes, please.
Some of the words that I'm throwing out now, I wouldn't have even mentioned a couple years ago. But now, because everyone's becoming more savvy, I think it's important to understand the different use cases of some of these new large language models. So generative is very exciting right now, and that's about creating something new. Another use case of it is called discriminative or analytical, and it's a way of using this information to understand, in our case of scripts, but it's very consistent. So unlike generative, where you can refresh and get something new every time, what we're working with discriminative means every time you put the script through, it's going to read it the same. And if we look at 10,000 scripts and measure something about a character, it's going to measure that consistently the same way every time. So it's a different use case, and I think that's the sort of information that's important to start getting familiar with as you're making the choices of what kind of AI you want to work with in your own company.
And can we take a moment and take a look at Monica's video?
To the third octet in the /24 subnet for each of these different networks. You don't have to do that.
That's not it.
I just think that, when I'm setting up networks, like logically, it makes sense to me to kind of make sure that the VLAN is part of the network.
We will come back for that.
We can just
move
on.
Moving on. Thank you so much, Monica. Nick?
Hi, great to meet everybody. Nick Almond, I'm the Chief Operating Officer and board member at CreatorUp. Also an Anderson UCLA alum, going back a few years. CreatorUp is what we call a studio as a service, an on-demand studio, if you like, that allows any organization anywhere in the world to create content, digital content, quickly, easily, and at scale. That could be animation, it could be live action, immersive 360 for the headset, live streaming, and now generative AI. We do this a little bit through like an Uber-like model. We have 8,000 creative professionals all over the world that can come together on any type of creative project and put the optimal team together for that particular experience based on the format, based on the industry, the purpose of the video, and so forth. So the problem that we're trying to solve is that, an in-house team or a production shop, by definition, has limited bandwidth, maybe limited areas of specialization. They're great at live action, not so great at animation, perhaps. We're trying to change that model. The demand for content has exploded, whether that's for social media, education, social impact, many, many use cases. But the way we've typically created content has been in this craft style, cottage style industry. So we're looking to change that. So we have a platform that makes it very, very easy to be inspired and order all types of content. So you can search in an e-commerce-like environment for, by format, by price, by industry, by purpose, and so forth. Add it to your shopping cart and check out. Then a team will be put together, or teams will be put together to put that content together. We supercharge that content creation process through a generative AI platform. That was the Daisy offer that you saw right at the very beginning there. And therefore, we're able to produce content at scale. So when a company like McGraw-Hill, for example, the publisher comes to us and they want 1,200 videos created in the space of a couple of months, that would blow up a typical in-house team or production shop. For us, that's Tuesday. We can put many of those 8,000 creative professionals on there, organize them through the platform, and then be able to deliver content quickly, rapidly, at scale, and on a global basis. And that is supercharged through our generative AI tools that we'll get into in a little bit. Thank you.
Let's do your video now. Let's talk about the big behemoth fear in the room that AI is taking everyone's jobs away and there's no more space for creators. Your model is quite different. Can you tell us a little bit about it and set up what you're going to show us?
Sure, I'll just set up the video if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
So, in our name, we're called CreatorUp, the idea of raising up creators. And so we wanted to put creators in the center of innovation and in the center of this idea of how generative AI can come and help support all of us. So the first thing that we did is we aggregated approximately 25 generative AI engines. So we can create text, images, videos, digital avatars, voiceovers, presentations, slides, all in one platform, right? So gone are the days you have to go to ChatGPT for text and log out and DALL-E for images and so forth. It's all in one place. We gave that platform to our creative professionals to essentially give them superpowers. And the way we sort of, brought them up to speed is that, we're giving you a cape to flutter in the wind. We're giving you the power to sort of create content quickly, easily, and at scale. And so with that, we've enabled those people to work on projects and develop content for our clients quicker, easier, and faster, and more efficiently. And then now we've turned that same platform and made it publicly available, called it Daisy, D-A-I-S-Y, and you can go to createwithdaisy.com and get access to the tool for yourselves or for your enterprise.
All right, now can we play next video?
Hi, and thanks for taking the time to learn more about Daisy. Daisy is a sophisticated yet user-friendly content creation platform designed to blend the capabilities of artificial intelligence with the expertise of a diverse network of creative professionals. It incorporates a range of top-tier AI tools under one roof, making the creation of text, images, videos, or presentations both effortless and efficient. Daisy's user-friendly interface allows users to quickly access a suite of productivity tools organized by format or use case. There are solutions for a variety of applications, including education, marketing, business communications, and social media, with more being added all the time. Each tool in Daisy is optimized and utilizes AI models tailored for each specific use case. This eliminates the complexities of prompt engineering and the overwhelming task of sifting through numerous AI services to find the perfect fit. Users simply fill out a form with the specifics, and Daisy delivers optimal results almost instantly. Users can also generate personalized presenters to deliver their lessons or messages, choosing from a rich array of over 130 avatars, 750 voices, in 146 languages. To add a further layer of personalization to these videos, users can upload their own backgrounds, have Daisy generate a custom background, or choose from our vast selection of over 4 million royalty-free images. Daisy's visual designer revolutionizes presentation creation by harnessing the power of AI. Simply enter a topic or URL, select a template, and let Daisy craft your slideshow or lesson. Easy editing is at your fingertips with inline AI and design tools that make content creation fast and efficient, whether you are working with text or images. And you can even add a natural-sounding voiceover to deliver the presentation for you. Multiple AI services can be combined using our exclusive Daisy chain pipelines to unlock unmatched creative potential. The output from one tool can connect with others in a sequence, broadening the scope and enriching the depth of the creations. Furthermore, these Daisy chain pipelines can be saved and shared, offering consistency and time efficiencies in future projects. And remember, we are here for you every step of the way. Whether you need assistance getting started, refining your content, or taking your production to the next level, our team of over 8,000 creative professionals is ready to lend a helping hand. That's what we mean when we say, AI with the human touch. CreatorUp offers plans tailored to suit organizations of every size. Speak to your sales representative for more detailed information on plans and pricing, or visit createwithdaisy.com to see how AI with the human touch can enhance your content creation.
And your spokesperson was AI generated?
That was an AI.
Yes,
avatar,
I think we
that's
were all
correct.
catching on to that. Thank you. Gohree, tell us about the magic you guys are doing at AmazeVR.
Hello, my name is Gohree Kim, and I lead marketing at a startup, a VR concert startup called AmazeVR. And what we do is we produce live action VR concerts. So it's like the closest experience a fan can have of their favorite artist, even closer than VIP. What we do is we're not a production company, but we're creating VR concerts because we need to show the world what our tech is capable. So we're building our own custom camera software, to our own VFX pipeline, to our own AI processing tools for both 3D reconstruction, lighting, etc., to be able to produce this at mass. Because our company's vision is just the way as Spotify changed the way how people listen to music, we want to change the way how people experience music. And so we're envisioning a future by 2030 where every artist will have their own AmazeVR concert. 2 years ago, it's our first VR concert. We started from scratch with Megan Thee Stallion. It took us 3 months pre-production, 6 months post-production, a lot of money, lots of money. And then in 1 year, we reduced the pre-production to 2 weeks, post-production to 2 to 3 months, depending on the creative, and the budget by tenfold. And so right now, what we're envisioning as our app is available currently on Quest and Apple Vision Pro. Most like in Asia and a lot of markets. When we did the Megan Thee Stallion, when we launched it first, more than 50% of the fans who came experience have never even tried VR. Didn't even know what VR was. So we brought it to 15 to AMC theaters around North America in 15 cities. So currently we are doing theater tours as well, just so that it gets in front of the fans. It's not our long-term goal, but we want people to experience it. And that's what we're doing right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And now, Shawn, we have some more XR going on with TriggerXR.
Yeah, I'm Shawn. I'm the VP of Operational Excellence at TriggerXR. We're an XR agency that partners with a lot of different brands, especially in the entertainment and sports field. So Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal, Sony Pictures. We've created content for them that's ultimately primarily for fans, but also in the innovation space, internal R&D type initiatives for them. We leverage AR, VR, XR on headsets, mobile, large displays, kind of all formats. And obviously the underlying technology there that powers AR is computer vision, machine learning, And especially in the past few years, we've seen how generative AI has really added to that mix and is allowing us to now push into even further levels, deeper levels of engagement, personalization when it comes to these types of experiences.
All right, let's take a look at a couple more videos. Let's take a look at Gohree's videos first in AmazeVR. All right. Oh my gosh. So you guys, let's first of all just give a hand to these incredible panelists, because the first thing we wanted to do was just blow up the entire concept of what we are really talking about, the vastness of what's happening with AI and all of the XR experiences. They've been around for such a long time, but we're now seeing them in the consumer side at a level we have never seen them before. For me, I'm a longtime entertainment and technology executive, and I loved AI since the beginning. And I was walking around with Google Glass back in the day, but the truth is, when I was trying to think of how I wanted to incorporate that into the tech side of my world, I was interested in generative AI in the way, not that it would create content, but that it could create time. So I went after boards. I went after the boards in our writer's room, the boards in production, the boards in startup companies. And we created something called Korgi that right now is just integrating chat, but will ultimately start building your task boards for you based, of course, on behavior and on machine learning. So let's just take a quick 60-second look at Korgi. let's talk about what we really are going to be able to do in the next few years by leaning into leveraging and being responsible about the use of AI, XR, and other areas of innovation, and how they talk to and touch our business models. Which does bring me back to StoryFit, because I was a development exec and a current exec for a very long time. When we're talking about the impact on the business model of being able to take a look at and examine content so much earlier in the pipeline, can you give us a tiny bit of before and after? And how does it hit the workflows, and how does it hit the budget being able to come in this much earlier?
So one thing I want to say is our video is on YouTube. If you search for StoryFit Script Check, you'll get to see it. So
thank you.
That just in case. One of the things that we have learned by building this is that it's not enough even to have predictive models that just says good or bad. Like, no creative person wants that. That just limits you and puts you worse off. Kind of, you don't even know if it's bad. You don't know how to change it. It's not giving additional information. So part of what we've built, and I see this in other types of AI too, is that we've now built hundreds and hundreds of proprietary models that are very specific, because it starts to mirror and mimic what information that creatives really want. So I think this is what you'll see in any successful technology is, are we really delivering what the user is wanting? Which right then is an opening to more creativity and more ideas and more information. And so, for example, our models are very specific. We're measuring, is the character brave? Does he love his family? Does she worry a lot? Is she wise, or is she, So in other words, there's more than 250 different character traits, and there's that many, 200 tones. So all of this information starts to really give more detailed information. And one of our clients has said that, they're used to getting information from audience post-production, but that sort of just gives you like, oh, we don't like the character, or oh, that part was slow. But what we're delivering is really specific information that says, here's a slow moment in your script. This is why, or this character doesn't have motivation. So it's very specific information. But I think most importantly, what we're seeing, and I heard it echoed in the panel too, is that combination of human ingenuity plus AI is where the real power is. And I think I sometimes, even when we're working with clients, they sometimes just want the answers, just want the information. And that's really a missed opportunity, because when you're pulling in this type of information and then layering it with what you know from experience, then that's when we see the best outcome.
And I love you. Where are our B school students? Do we have any B school students? Do you hear lag measure versus lead measure? Because our industry was a lag measure industry, throwing money down the drain. This is the ultimate lead measure. But I'm also hearing jobs. I'm hearing such a range of roles at this company to accomplish what you're accomplishing, where it used to just be me and a dev assistant. Can you talk to me about the ecosystem of StoryFit?
Yeah, so it really is, it's cutting edge machine learning and AI. We have behavioral scientists that also help us create the studies and help us learn the information we need. We also have people that have come from traditional entertainment that are interpreting really this information, so that we can speak the same language and make sure we're not just dumping data that's not helpful, but taking the data and turning it into information that really helps the creatives. And so we have a lot of people from the industry as well, story experts, and I'm always proud when people on our team win script writing contests. I mean, they're really, involved in this all the way through. So our hope is really to be a translator between the latest technology and get that AI into development and into the hands of creatives, which sometimes I think feel cut off from the technology that's happening, but get it in a way that they can use it and can then be a part of building and really, I think, making AI that's even more exciting than it would be if it's just a bunch of engineers.
Yes, very good. Nick, let's keep talking about careers, because you said the magic number twice from the first time I talked to you, which is 8,000. Talk to me about a world in which AI, your world, is creating content, but also creating careers and creating scale for your clients.
Sure, absolutely. I'll use an example, perhaps, is probably the easiest way to describe it. So, a university, not UCLA, but another major well-known sort of university we're partnering with at the moment, to be able to create a course by hitting the button generate, right? And so therefore the course is produced in a matter of seconds, versus the old-fashioned way which might be to speak with a professor, brainstorm, pair them with an instructional designer to put the course outline and curriculum together, to bring in a multimedia team to shoot all of the content, to generate infographics and so on and so forth. That all changes, right? And so using the DAISY generative AI platform, you notice that it was fully multimodal or omnimodal, in that it can create text, images, slideshows, presentations, graphics, voiceovers, digital avatars. And you can chain them together in the DAISY chain format. So in other words, you can write a multi-step prompt. So you can say, go to the particular text, generate a course outline, take that course outline and develop slides from that, add an avatar to introduce it, now create an infographic, now translate into French, German, Spanish, Arabic, whatever, right? Then do quiz questions to test understanding throughout the course, generate an exam at the end of the program to demonstrate mastery, and now and then along the way, you inject the brand guidelines of the university, the best practices in instructional design, so it's true to sort of learning science, so students are learning in an efficient and optimal sort of way, and you hit generate. And to take that a step further, we also have a bulk generator. So you can run that multi-step prompt, overnight, essentially. And so you could give it a list of prompts, titles of courses at one end, feed it in, and then out the other end comes a whole series of courses and multimedia. That's what's in development at the moment. We're working with a major university to do exactly that. You can imagine the time savings and so forth that come with that. But how is that better? Yes, it's more efficient, it's faster and so forth, but there's this holy grail in education of personalized learning by style, by how people learn, the cultural references, language, of course. And so now you can create courses almost geared to the individual. The key barrier or one of the key barriers to personalized content creation for education has been the cost of and time and effort in creating that content. Well, now if that approaches zero and time approaches zero to create that content, well, now you've got, you can really have personalized education at scale. You feed that into a conversational sort of avatar, and now you can basically give everybody like a personal tutor and bring up the appropriate parts of content and courses and so forth accordingly. So this is one way where, we do a lot of work in the education sector as well as social impact and commercial work, but this is one way we're trying to sort of create media that matters, but create it in a way that gives, professors, teachers, at all levels, access to the ability to be able to create content, incredibly quickly and at scale, and for, new learning techniques, for on-demand tutoring, personalization at scale, and so forth.
And where in your ecosystem is the balance between creative input and the enormous amount of actual engineering that must be going on over here? But there are creators that are part of your world. How do you guys balance that in your model?
Exactly. So, there are checkpoints all along the way in that process, right? And we work with partners to identify where those checkpoints are. So you may have people sort of brainstorming up front and iterating on the concepts of what you want to teach, then at the course outline, then at the quiz questions, obviously fact-checking all of the content that is produced, and so forth. So we intersperse, a human creative talent all the way through all of that. But the role is changing, right? The team to create that content might have been an instructional designer, a professor, and a multimedia team like we have at the back here. Now that team is comprised of prompt specialists, still the professor, so you still need the subject matter expert, but increasingly technologists to be able to train the models, to be able to, identify which model to tap into. Should I be using ChatGPT 3.5 or 4, or should I be using something from Anthropic, and so on and so forth, in order to create the optimal output for what it is you're trying to create. And what we found is, you can't rely on just one set of models from, say, OpenAI. There are certain types of content that are much better from a completely different company. And so we're constantly looking and evaluating which model to pick, which to aggregate together, and then to be able to sort of program, if you like, through these multi-step prompts.
I got it. And for you, Gohree, one of the things that I loved was you are literally creating something from something, but bringing people to people that otherwise, that Megan Thee Stallion concert, obviously you guys got a lot of buzz about that. You got Blackpink going. But talk to us about the tech stack of that and what's the model that, what are you building that on and how does that, with the continuous improvements, change your bottom line?
Wow. So that's a huge question. I don't know if I can answer.
How much time do you have?
So our company is really weird in that we have AI geniuses and then we have game developers. And there's people like me who come from the music industry. I promoted global touring for 10 years. I didn't know anything about tech before I came. And then there's artists who are just creatives, who don't know any tech, just beautiful artists. We have all diverse engineers, and we've all come together to build this new form of medium. And everything we've done has never been done before. So we have Unreal Engine. We've been building crazy tools on Unreal, but then Apple Vision Pro doesn't support Unreal Engine. So when we launched 1 month ago, our engineers slept in a room for 1 month nonstop, and we created new tech from bottom scratch. That's never been done before. So we're constantly changing because each of also the distribution channels are different. But from the camera as well, we shoot in 16K stereoscopic. If you try our demo outside, when you try it, I guarantee there's no other VR concert as clean, crisp, even better than Apple. Because our engineers are using, like for example, we are using the Canon camera, but our engineers said it wasn't good enough, so they recalibrated the Canon camera. So the Canon camera head person came to our office and told us, how did you shoot this with our own camera? And so, we're rebuilding everything. So even the camera, we're remaking software, VFX pipeline, and then stages and game design. Because we're creating a new medium that's never been done before. I don't know if that answers.
It does. I mean, we're talking about the vastness of this. Obviously, Shawn, with Trigger, we're talking about worlds that actually don't exist, right? You've got hardware, you've got software. I'm sure you have game designers as well. Talk about your model, how does this come into existence? Mm-hmm. And
a lot of it is incredibly bespoke. There's underlying tech platforms that we're leveraging, like Snaplens Studio, of course, Unity. We're using the hardware of existing hardware manufacturers like the Quest 3 and Vision Pro. Really, it depends on what the client wants, and then we really craft a problem solve for that based off of that. So sometimes we'll leverage internal game designers, innovators and strategists, of course developers, 3D modelers, and we use AI to kind of supercharge that, especially when it comes to the problem solving and headspace of just having to understand what a client's looking for and idea generation, those elements for sure, concept visualization as well. And just like what Gohree mentioned, we are also building our own tech that kind of helps build faster and be able to leverage that. But we also look at combining existing tech. So In-World AI is a company that we are close partners with, and they have conversational AI. And if you can imagine that you can put character in AR space and then be able to talk to them, that's not tech that's inherent in Unity, but combining existing pieces of tech and almost Frankensteining innovations in that space, that's definitely where we like to thrive.
Absolutely. And before we go to some questions, just a couple thoughtful questions. I want to come back to you because one of the things that really struck me when we talked about StoryFit was the possible democratization of development, because you can put any model on a script and it's not just the personal lived experiences of that person anymore determining whether it should move forward or not. I love the impact possibilities of it. How does that kind of fuel any of the work or the research you're currently doing?
Yeah, I mean, really, it is the equivalent of how hundreds of audience members would perceive a particular story or a particular scene. And it is interesting because oftentimes we're delivering this when there's just maybe 2 or 3 people in the room that are making the decisions, or other times it's been debated to death. And we're actually, more times than not, this data comes in on the side of the creatives and says, no, look, this character is meaningful, or we do need to go this direction. And so what I like to say is like, let it be another seat at the table so that you're still having the conversation, you're iterating on it. I also think it's really powerful because when people are early in their career, they can also look at this data in comparison to existing. And so really get a feel for what does the ups and downs, kind of the heartbeat of the emotional intensity across these scenes look like in shows that we know well. I'd say, and one other group that we deliver to, what I've learned with them is whenever we're delivering them kind of the bad news, they have sent us all of their scripts. So we say, look, you guys have done it great in all of these. Like, just remember, because they said sometimes when they saw the data, it just felt overwhelming. Like, but we thought it was suspenseful, or we thought it was a thriller. And so being able to have it really next to successes is more empowering. It's like, all right, we can do this. We can think of another way to deliver the story.
I love it. I'm going to do a last question with you so that we have some time for questions. Thank you, which is, we talked about what if AI ruins everything? I want to talk about, just most importantly for everyone in the room, legal issues. Not just what we shared this morning, the Elon Musk lawsuit about this was supposed to be used for good, but the intellectual property issues, all of this that all of us are having to take into consideration. Is there any conversation that you guys are having right now about how to navigate that successfully?
Yes, it comes up all the time. As we work with universities and other clients, we go through all sorts of security checks, privacy checks. We're transparent as to which models we're using, at what time, and so forth. So we're in constant discussion before we start any project with a particular client, all of those particular elements, including the use of IP on sort of the back end. The quite an extreme example, this week we actually launched a digital avatar for one of the presidential candidates. So Tavis Smiley on NPR on Tuesday announced for Jason Palmer an AI chatbot. So this was a digital avatar. We took a picture of him. It looks and talks and sounds exactly like him. We trained the AI with a lot of his policy statements, interviews, and so on and so forth. And you can imagine the rigor that we had to go through with both the AI engines that were powering that behind the scenes, and also, his team and so on and so forth in order to be able to do that, especially given, the political nature of it. There are, to be clear, disclaimers. This is for education only. This is beta. It very clearly labels it as an AI bot, so there's no confusion. But those are the sorts of challenges that, as we explore this, like, we do with any other emerging technology, legal issues are going to be, right there in the forefront, helping to define how we go forward.
Thank you so much. We have some questions from the audience. We have our microphone coming. Microphone coming. Sorry, stand by.
Hi, so I was like, yeah.
You have to put it closer.
Oh, so I wanted to ask you a question about StoryFit. So I'm a screenwriting student at School of Theatre, Film and Television, and a good chunk of our process is trying to guess if it'll work or it won't work, or how an industry professional would read it. And is this just a sample to get your foot through the door, or if it's something that could actually be pitched? So if after finals week I could get a detailed report that a studio executive would after something is released, that yes, this works and this doesn't work and these parts are slow, that would be amazing. So do you have any plans to bring it into academia, education space, so we can learn better?
Yes, and we'd love to work more with academia because that's the way that we can start. Right now our prices are a little too tall, or a little too high, and so because what we're delivering to the studios is much, but what you're describing is absolutely what we're working on, is how can we find a way to keep making that simple enough so that you can have that report and use it. And there are ways that we do that now, and we do work with individuals, like what you're saying. So that's a great use case example.
Thank you. Hey, how you doing? My name is Adewale Oduye, USC Marshall. Sorry for the UCLA people. Also a lawyer, and I work in tech and venture capital. So I guess for me, the question is with AI, and there's a conversation about ethics and how it deals with race or equity and things of that nature. And I can see a world in which that may be an issue for a lot of your companies. So I'm wondering, are you thinking about how your AI could potentially be applied or potentially not be equitable or fair or things of that nature?
Do you want to take it?
I mean, I bet we're all thinking about that. I mean, I hope everyone who's involved with AI is. And what we are doing is able to identify when, for example, characters aren't written as complex. And we've gone to shows like that before and said, look, you've got 7 characters and your 3, non-white characters are the least complex and the least fully fledged individual characters. We also look at the differences between genders, so we can measure and recognize that, women still, you know all this by now, but women ask more questions than men do. What should we do? What's next? Help us. That kind of stuff. So we're able to really put the numbers also in front of the team, because most of the groups we're working with are not trying to do that, but they're falling back on familiar ways of writing scripts. So we can really undo it and help support it by measuring it and just pulling that data in front. So that's what we're kind of our contribution to that effort.
Yeah, I'll maybe answer the question in a slightly different way, and that's from more of an access point of view. We've created a generative AI platform. We've tried to put it in the hands of everybody here. So it's not just for the creative professionals delivering for client work, but we've also made the platform available, including a sort of a free offer so people can experience it for themselves. And the work that we've done is to work with creators literally all over the world. We have 8,000 creative professionals. Yes, some are here in the States, but really from countries all over, and giving people the access to those tools and also the training that comes along with it. We have 500-600 hours of actual educational content on our site that we make available to train creative professionals in 21st century skills. Those are, videography, writing, directing, and so forth, more the traditional filmmaking skills. But now we have courses on generative AI, how to shoot in 360 VR for the headset, and so forth. So we want to, not create a new digital divide, an AI divide, by making the platforms very available and accessible, and to provide the training and so forth, again, at a level that is, again, very accessible for people to participate in.
I want to add that when we looked at, for instance, if you guys remember what happened a couple years ago with the pulse oximeters that were not reading oxygen correctly if you have melanin in your skin. So just like everything else in entertainment, the opportunity here to flatten and democratize is huge. Because if I'm not looking at your resume and seeing Howard University and being like, oh, you know what that means, right? That's a real thing I experienced. And it's a system that's just looking for actual qualitative traits and saying this is a fit or not a fit for the job. That could potentially be democratizing only if the training of the system is itself coming through a flattened and unbiased process. And that's where conferences like this matter so much. When you're looking for career opportunities, if there's a possibility that you will be one of the people in the room that's designing those models, that's talking about the training, all the stuff that we as individuals in businesses have to speak up about, if we could get into the front end of the building of these models, the enormous opportunity for equity just shifts if we could do it at scale with something that isn't biased. But as we just saw with Google Gemini, with the images, garbage in, garbage out. No shade, I love Google, but how did that happen, right? How did I just see a black Nazi? I'm trying to just wrap my brain around it. So I think it's very important that we look at, which is what everyone was talking about, the enormity of these ecosystems. And there's opportunities, especially on the business side, the legal side, to make an enormous impact. If you come in and we don't think of it only as, is this a way that I can write my essay? Is this a way that I can get help with a screenplay? This is here. It is only getting bigger. It could change the world, and it could change the world for great if we commit to getting into every step of this process ourselves to inform how it's going to develop. Nothing's stopping it, but we could change it. Do we have another question? I think this is our last question. And there's one more in the back if we have time, Jay.
Hi, my name's Jacob. I'm from University of Chicago. My question is primarily for Shawn. So I was wondering, when you've seen the creation of XR and all these really innovative, amazing new types of content, what has been the adoption in terms of like which demographics have been most likely to use it? How have you been deciding to market it? Who have been the evangelists? Just would love to hear a little more detail on that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say it really depends on the platform. Obviously, I think everyone kind of knows Snapchat as the AR dog filter kind of solution, and that's definitely helped with proliferating the concept of AR across. But then obviously there's headsets, things like the Quest 3 and the Vision Pro, which are definitely skewed more towards the enthusiasts and the ones that are maybe more into gaming. And now with Vision Pro, it's kind of opening up to a larger kind of demographic, a wealthy demographic for sure, but one that's really interested. I've been in AR since 2009, so I've kind of seen the field from the beginning and how new entrants kind of emerge in terms of just how it's expanded its audience base. I mean, I think AR is kind of for everyone to some degree. Like, grandparents have now seen AR, whether it's on TikTok Reels, and TikTok actually has a very huge, wide audience base in terms of age. So yeah, I think AR is really for everyone in terms of content creation, and the ones that are pushing Reels and things like that. Obviously, it skews younger, but people are getting more and more used to it, and we'll only see that more and more as the headsets become the next kind of realm of what's new.
So you guys, thank you so much. That is it for the panel. If you have more questions, if you'll just allow the panelists to get demiked, and we'll ask everyone to come out into the lobby after so that they can set up for the next panel. I hope it's a great start to your day. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and a huge round to this panel.